stumble upon the internet at any point during this apocalyptic time, you are either going to see many posts about a certain beer named disease, or you are going to see various related memes, content, screenshots about this certain very wholesome serotonin giving farming simulator game known as Animal Crossing. And that is what I am directing my energy and attention towards. I don't know about you all, but I have decided to do a video recommending books based on the personalities of various Animal Crossing villagers. Now, I am very new to Animal Crossing. I have never played it prior to New Horizons, so I needed a little bit of help with this. So I tweeted out who your guys' favorite Animal Crossing villagers were, and then I compiled a list. I looked up their personality traits, and I'm going to recommend books to your favorite Animal Crossing villagers. I have quite a lot of books to recommend and quite a lot of villagers here, so let's just get into it. The first villager I'm going to be featuring and giving a book recommendation to is Julian. Julian is a unicorn, and he is absolutely fabulous in my opinion. I love his aesthetic, and it is very fitting that I appreciate his aesthetics because he does too. And he is described as very egotistical, and just looking at him, I'm just like, yes, he values aesthetics and looks and beauty over anything. Based on those characteristics, I will be recommending The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I just think that Julian would appreciate the discussions about beauty and aesthetics in this book, and I think he would also feel really snooty, and I think he would think he was better than everybody else because his favorite book would be a classic. And so obviously that is why I'm recommending Picture of Dorian Gray, and I may be biased because I too value aesthetics very highly, and that is one of the reasons why I loved this book so much, because it really delves into that concept. And I just think that Julian would relate to wanting to sell one's soul in order to maintain eternal and immortal beauty. The next villager I have is Freya, who is a snooty wolf villager, and she is described as very arrogant and, similarly to Julian, very egotistical, which we love a confident bitch in this house. She really loves makeup as well as gossiping, and based on those characteristics, I would recommend The Cruel Prince by Holly Black to Freya, because I just think that she would really appreciate the descriptions of clothing and, again, the aesthetics in the Fae world that Holly Black paints in this. I also think she would just love the drama of it all. Jude is a spy in this novel, so obviously I think she would really enjoy the gossiping and sneaking around. I think she would really just love the bully romance. Like, look at her, you know that she appreciates a bully romance, and I love that for her, and I really do think that she would absolutely love this book, and I think that she would dedicate her entire house and aesthetics to resembling the Fae world, and I love that for her. Next, we have Apollo, who is an eagle villager, and he is more of a cranky villager, and he also really loves rumors. And I just think that he would really enjoy Foul is Fair by Hannah Capin, and this one is a Macbeth retelling, it's a Heather's retelling, Jennifer's Body retelling, and it basically follows this girl who was sexually assaulted at a party, and she is enacting revenge on every single man that was involved in the party. And it's extremely scheming and filled with so much drama that I think Apollo would just root for Jade the entire time, and he would really enjoy the drama of it all. And so Foul is Fair is going to be recommended to Apollo. Next, we have Scoot, which I believe he's a penguin or a frog villager. I can't exactly remember. His picture will be right here. He is described as a bit egotistical. He's described as a bit dense. He's a very athletic villager, and he's just basically your typical jock character. And because he's described as a bit dense, I think he would really jive with a middle grade story. Not that middle grade is below, or if you read middle grade, you are somehow stupid. I just think that he needs something very forward in its messaging and doesn't have a whole lot of nuance to it. I think that's just what he would appreciate and what would capture his attention the most. So based on those characteristics, I will be recommending Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky by Kwame Mbala. And this is about our main character Tristan Strong, who, as you may guess it from the title, punches a hole in the sky and is then transported to this world of African American folk tales and African gods. And there's a whole lot of action to it. Tristan is a kickboxer. He comes from a family of kickboxers. So I think that Scoots would appreciate his athleticism, and he would really enjoy the action scenes in this book, and it would really keep his attention, and he would enjoy it immensely. Now we have Cherry, who is our legendary goth dog icon, and truly I could not recommend a better book for this goth icon than Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. Obviously, looking at Cherry, she values the goth aesthetic, just like our author, Emily A. Duncan. It is just filled with gothic cathedrals and blood magic and gods, and I just think that Cherry would love this book so much and appreciate all of the aesthetics and the gothic goodness that is filled to the brim in this book. So Wicked Saints will absolutely be going to Cherry. Next, we have Eloise, who is this very hostile and another snooty elephant villager. And a really unique thing about Eloise is that she aspires to be an actress. So paired with her perhaps egotistical, hostile nature and the fact that she dreams of being famous and a famous actress, I will absolutely be recommending City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. I could also recommend Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo because these two books really go hand in hand, but City of Girls is a little lesser known than Evelyn Hugo, so I think she would appreciate more of an underrated gem than something that everybody reads and everybody loves, because she's too good for that. This is following our main character who moves to New York and starts to work at her aunt's theater company, and she makes clothing for the theater. So she herself isn't necessarily an actress, but she is surrounded by other actresses and showgirls, and I think Eloise would be so inspired by this book, because even me, who has no aspirations to become famous, wanted to move to New York and become a poor showgirl. Like, that's what I wanted while I was reading this book. So I think this book would actually give Eloise the final push to get off this island and go achieve her success and her dreams. So City of Girls will absolutely be going to my girl Eloise. Next, we have Beau, who is described as more of a laid-back / lazy deer villager, and he really spends his time eating and sleeping, which I think we can all relate to and all aspire to do with our life. Oh, to be a deer villager in this deserted island, just living your life, fishing, sleeping, and eating. Like, I would like his life. I truly cannot think of a better lifestyle choice. So because he has such a love for food, I could not recommend a better book than Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This is a Queen of Hearts retelling. So this tale is already very well known. He would have likely already known about the Queen of Hearts and Alice in Wonderland, so he can really just appreciate the delicious treats and baking that Kath does in this story. Kath, our main character, the future Queen of Hearts, she aspires to be a pastry chef. She wants to have her own bakery, and the descriptions of food in here is so lush and delectable that you cannot read this book without craving a lemon tart. And I think that Beau would just really eat this book literally when craving all of the delicious food that is described in here. Next we have Fauna, who is probably one of the cutest deer villagers that I have seen. She is described as very shy and very happy to be around people. She is also described as loving to read and loving to write letters. So because of her shy nature and her sheer love of reading, I would recommend Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor to Fauna. I think that she would, one, really relate to Laszlo Strange, who is our main character, because he too is quite shy. He's very kind-natured, and he also really loves reading and researching. He has dedicated his life to researching this lost city of Weep, and he one day gets the chance to visit that lost city. And I just think that Fauna would dream of having Laszlo's life. I think after reading this book, she would just want to be whisked away to this fantastical, magical land. And I think this book is just filled with such beautiful writing, such whimsy, that I think Fauna would absolutely fall in love with this story. Next we have Goldie, who is a very cute golden retriever villager, and she is basically described as a sensitive cinnamon roll that loves clothing. So I will absolutely be recommending The Selection by Kira Cass to Goldie. I think this story would just be so fun and addicting for Goldie because it is a very Bachelor-esque story, and it also just describes all of the beautiful clothing that these girls wear. So I think that she would not only love this series, but probably binge it in like a week and never stop talking about it. She'd probably start a book club and just force everybody to read these books. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to be on that island when she forces everybody to read this, like, kind of trashy 2000s YA story, because I personally didn't love it, but I am also the complete opposite of Goldie as a human being and as a person in general. So, I think she would really love this. So, I would absolutely recommend The Selection to Goldie. Now we have Agnes, who is this pig villager, and Agnes I would describe as kind of the popular mean girl in high school. She's a little snooty, she's pretty preppy, and she does like her rumors and gossiping from time to time, but she also has a very maternal instinct to her. It's described that if she befriends you on the island, she will become kind of this big sister, mentor kind of figure. So because of that, and also partly because Monty is the one that commented Agnes on my tweet, I will be recommending American Royals by Catherine McGee to Agnes. American Royals is basically Gossip Girl meets Red, White, and Royal Blue. We are following the setting of America if George Washington became king instead of a president, so we are following the descendants of the Washington line, and we follow a various cast of characters, but the core family, we follow Beatrice, who is going to be the crowned queen of America, and we also follow her younger sister, who is a bit of a party girl. She's very rebellious. So because the book has that really interesting drama aspect to it that would really keep Agnes entertained, it also has that family dynamic and the sister bonding that I think she would really relate to. That is why American Royals will be going to Agnes. And finally, we have Biff, who is our hippo villager. He is also a jock character. He really likes basketball, he really likes limbo, and I am not a person who necessarily likes sports in my books. But a very interesting thing that I learned about Biff is he is scared of ghosts. So because of his fear of ghosts, I will absolutely be recommending House of Song and Sorrows by Aaron A. Craig. I know you guys did not think that just because it's a new year meant I would never talk about this book again, because here it is, here she is, and here I am recommending her to you once again, and specifically recommending it to Biff, because there is very much a paranormal aspect to House of Sorrows. It is extremely creepy. It is probably the scariest book I've ever read. Granted, I don't read horror, but it is so incredibly creepy, and I think that it would give Biff such an adrenaline rush that resembles the adrenaline he gets while playing sports. This is a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, and we are following our main character Annalie, who is the middle child, and at the start of this book, 3 out of 12 of these sisters have died. And at the time of the third death, Annalie is kind of thinking that maybe these deaths are not accidents and there is more to their deaths than she was led to believe. It is very much a fantasy, own world mythologies. It is very paranormal, as I said, very creepy, very island aesthetic, and it is just so incredible. And if you haven't heard me talking about this book, I would be extremely surprised because I never stop talking about it. So this will absolutely be going to Biff, and he would probably be really mad at me because of how scared he would get while reading it. Alright, you guys, so that is it for me recommending books to Animal Crossing villagers. What did you name your island? What is your native fruit? And who were your starting villagers? I am very curious to know. If you yourself want to pick up any of the books that I mentioned, I will have all of the Amazon affiliate links down below. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It just helps me out in this channel. If you want to support me in any other way, I also have my Amazon wishlist, my coffee, as well as my P.O. box down below in the description. So go check that out. I really appreciate it. But other than that, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.